السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله صفي بخلقه وحبيبه بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وكشف الله تعالى به غمة وجاهد في الله حق جهاده حتى أتاه اليقين. أما بعد، فقال الله سبحانه وتعالى في القرآن المجيد وفرقان حميد بعد قول أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. ثم أما بعد، إن أصدق الكتاب كتاب الله تعالى وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. الله ربنا وثقتنا ورجاؤنا ومولانا فنعم المولى ونعم النصير. My dear brothers, respected elders, mothers and sisters, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for keeping us alive one more day on the path of Islam, on the Sirat al-Mustaqim, and allowing me and you to enter His house and worship Him in the manner that pleases Him. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept from me and accept from you the little we do in His path. Ameen. And I bear witness there is no deity worthy of worship except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is His last and final messenger. For surely who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chooses to guide, none can misguide. And whoever chooses to misguide, none can guide him back to the path. And we seek refuge in Allah from darkness of ourselves and evil of our deeds. For Allah is all-knowing and all-seeing what His creation does. Alhamdulillah, the Islamic New Year has started, and we had a khutbah about that. And traditionally, in the Western culture, when a new year begins, people would like to do some kind of accountability and set up some goals for themselves to perform better in that year. What I like to say, or what I like to personally actually tell myself, and what I like to do is not having goals. Setting up a goal is setting yourself up for failure in a sense. Stay with me though. I believe we should have mile markers in our lives. What happens is when you have a goal and you hit that goal or you reach that goal, that job is completed. You know, my job is to get a bachelor's degree. That's my goal in life. What happens when I get the bachelor's degree? The goal is done. It's over now. Education and learning and a betterment of oneself should be a lifelong mission. And for that lifelong mission, setting up goals is setting yourself up for possible failures. We like to have milestones set up. When you and I travel from Tucson to Phoenix, how many times is it that somebody in the car, you know, if you are blessed of not having kids, and I say that, you know, in the other way, blessing, you don't get to hear, are we there yet? No. And then literally 5 minutes pass, like, so are we there? No, I just told you, no. No, but I want to know. And then what do? You tell them, oh, we are 65 miles away from Phoenix. We're now 55 miles away from Phoenix. We're 80 miles away from Phoenix. Whatever distance might be. I know I'm going backwards, I know. I went backwards, it's okay. Maybe you stopped at the rest area for 15, 20 minutes. And that delayed you further, you know. But whatever it is, you have a mile marker on the highway that tells you what have you progressed. How far have you gotten along? And as Muslims, we need to have a mile marker, and we need to have a retrospect and inspection of ourselves every single time there is a significant event. And I say that a significant event because starting of the new year of the Hijri of 1445, that means we are that closer to end of time, we're that closer to rest of our lives being 1 year less. The time is passing. I don't know and you don't know when would be a last breath. Maybe I will not get to lead salah. Allahu A'lam. We don't know that. So those mile markers that we're passing in our life, are we getting better or are we getting worse? And one of the things that we should as Muslims be looking at ourselves is the main thing, in my personal opinion, and if somebody has a disagreement, please come and see me afterwards, is the betterment of our character. Now hear with me and stay with me on this topic. The hadith of Rasulullah ﷺ mentions explicitly, he says, أُتَمِّمُ الْمَقَارِمِ الْإِخْلَاقِ, I was sent not but only to perfect the character of the human being. I said this last week. We were talking about something. A brother was in my office and he has advised on a different matter, and this topic came up. And wallahi, this is a topic that pains me every single time we talk about it. The fasting was there before Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam got the prophethood. Some form of salah was still present. Some form of iman in Allah was still present. And the Hajj of Baytullah was still being established. We're not going to go into details of what form it was, but it was still being done. Every single thing we have was there in some form or shape before Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam got prophethood. And if you read this hadith in that context, I was not sent except to perfect the characteristic or the character of the human being. When the Sahaba have migrated to Habsha, and Najashi calls them, the famous speech that is made, he says what? The Sahabi says, we were the worst of the people. We killed our daughters. We did all the fawahish possible. we stole land, and we killed each other for no reason. This is part of his famous speech that he says to explain what they have learned when they entered Islam. Today, we see and we talk to brothers and sisters who cry for Palestine, and so rightfully be. The slaughter of innocent should be mourned every single day, every single time of any Muslim life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, the killing of one innocent Muslim life is enough for the whole world to destroy itself over. Rightfully so. But bear with me and hear me out on this matter. What happens when we are taking the property and the rights of another Muslim in our family? Where are the tears then? How bad do we feel then? Or we are verbally abusing people around us. Where are your honors then? It is okay to take the land of the poor and still say, La ilaha illa Muhammad Rasulullah, I'm Muslim. Hadith Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, Al-Muslim akhul Muslim, لا يحقره ولا يبذله. A Muslim is a brother of a Muslim. He does not denigrate him. He does not show him lower. The sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam he was the toughest on himself, and he had the most leeway for the others. Some of these community members went for Hajj, and you talk to them and you figure out how much stress and anxiety and turmoil and fatigue it is. And alayhi salatu wasalam is on Hajj, and people are coming to him in Arafah, Ya Rasulullah, I cut my hair off before I did the dhibh. ولا حرج ولا حرج ولا حرج ولا حرج. Wallahi, pick up the tafsir and look at the books of the hadith. ولا حرج ولا حرج ولا حرج. He's saying it. Don't worry about it. It's okay. Don't worry about it. It's okay. You go to Muzdalifah to spend one night. Alayhi salatu wasalam's routine was that he prayed tahajjud every night. حتى ورم قدمه. He prayed so long that his feet would swell up. But he gets to Muzdalifah and he purposely chooses to rest, because he knew that his ummah would have a hard time to stay up that night in tahajjud. So ulama say, you pray tahajjud all your life, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. When you get to Muzdalifah, sleep that night, because that night is meant for rest from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And what do we do as Muslims? We take out the most rukhsa for ourselves. Brother, there's a hadith for this. Okay, jazakallah. And then you see somebody else. Astaghfirullah, brother, what's wrong with you? Well, hold on, time out. A minute ago, you had a hadith for yourself. There's no hadith for your brother now? What happened there? Hold yourself to a higher accountability than you do anybody else. And that's the sunnah of alayhi salatu wasalam. That's the way of the prophethood. That's the way of prophethood, to make ease for people. To make ease for people. To create ease for them. You know, a lot of times when the imam is leading salah on the Jum'ah, the sunnah is to read, Surah Al-Ghashiyah in the second rak'ah. Have you paid attention what the topic is towards the end of the surah? فَذَكِّرْ إِنَّمَا أَنْتَ مُذَكِّرْ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking to alayhi salatu wasalam, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and remind them, for you are a person who reminds. فَذَكِّرْ إِنَّمَا أَنْتَ مُذَكِّرْ. Remind the ummah, remind the people, because you are a person who reminds folks. لَسْتَ عَلَيْهِمْ بِمُصَيْطِرٍ. Literal definition or translation of this ayah under one translation, in English translation, it literally said, do not be a dictator upon them. Literally said the words. Meaning what? You cannot hold that stick on the folks, Ya Rasulullah, and start beating them up with that. Have we forgotten the story that we have about the Ramadan of alayhi salatu wasalam? You know, Ramadan is not even beginning yet, and we Muslims, alhamdulillah, around the world are in a rush. What time is Taraweeh? What time is Taraweeh? And we're going to do Taraweeh. We're going to finish the Quran. What's happening? What's happening? Alayhi salatu wasalam did not come out of the house for the third night. He stayed inside. And the house is, if you've been to Masjid al-Nabawi, alhamdulillah, if you've not, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take you and show you the blessed sights. Where Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is, that was his house. That was the hujrah. That's where he was, and the masjid is right. There's not literally, if I had to exaggerate from this member to that pillar, that's how far the member of alayhi salatu wasalam is from his door. Wallahi, without exaggeration. People are outside. He can hear them. They're talking amongst themselves. They're knocking the door. Ya alayhi salatu wasalam, come, pray. He does not come out. Fajr, he comes out. He said, I heard you all. I heard the knocks on the door. I heard the complaints. Ya Rasulullah, why did you come? I did not want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it mandatory on my ummah, and the ummah would not be able to perform that salah. And today, alhamdulillah, we have chits to give out. You know, most of you, if you grew up in a big city, you know what a parking mate is. You don't, one brother's laughing. You don't have that in Tucson, man. I grew up in New York City, we had parking mates. And you know, when they walked out, they used to have a stack, that big, orange-looking tickets. 2 seconds, it's winning it. Are you getting it? And they would stand in front of your car and block you from leaving. You're like, I'm leaving. No, I already started writing. Stop, and I can't stop writing. We walk out with that booklet every day to give out fatwas to people. Oh, you didn't pray, huh? This was Ramadan, I didn't see you for Taraweeh. You know, you're not a good person. Na'udhu billah, summa na'udhu billah. Can any one of us guarantee the condition we're going to die in? No. The time is flying by, and I got several other things to cover, inshallah, so I'm going to try to speed up a little bit. I want to mention this story of an Arabi who comes to Ali radiyallahu anhu, and he says, عد لي إخلاق رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. He says, count to me the characteristics of عليه الصلاة والسلام. فقال علي هل تعرف العدة? Do you know how to count, my brother? He's an Arabi. He's meaning that he comes from faraway places, right? They're usually not educated. I'm not saying that present day. I'm talking about general. We're stereotyping. He says, yes, of course I know how to count. So Ali radiallahu anh tells him to count for him mata'ud dunya, the blessings of the world. And he says, I can't. I can't count the blessings in the world. So Ali looks at him and he says, فَعَجَبَ. He looks at him, surprised. He says, you can't count the blessing of the dunya, and when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قُلْ مَتَاعُ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا قَلِيلٌ. The blessing of this world is very few. And you're telling me you can't count that. And you're asking me to count the characteristics of the Prophet ﷺ, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. You are at the highest character, Ya alayhi salatu wasalam. At the highest character. And this is what we need to reflect upon. Let me close the first sermon with the story of Mu'adh radiyallahu anhu. Mu'adh ibn Jabal is a huge name in the Sahaba. Huge name. There's a narration mentioned, and there's a couple of different names mentioned, but the narration I mentioned, Khalid ibn Walid used to say, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked me who I left behind for his ummah, I would say I left behind Mu'adh ibn Jabal. And that would be sufficient for the ummah. Mu'adh ibn Jabal radiallahu anhu is leading the Isha prayers. a man who lives outside of Medina comes to join the salah, and Mu'adh ibn Jabal radiallahu anh starts reading. The joke amongst imams are when somebody asks you to read a short salah, you read Surah Al-Baqarah. I'm just joking. It's okay. Inshallah khair. Don't worry. No, we're going to keep it short. Mu'adh ibn Jabal is reading Surah Al-Baqarah in Salat al-Isha. The man stands behind him, and after a while he breaks his salah. He goes to the side, he prays his salah, and he leaves. Mu'adh ibn Jabal finds out from some people, there are some whispers, and there he's told that the man came, broke his salah, prayed his salah separately, and then departed. Mu'adh ibn Jabal said he is not a Muslim. Right? In a sense, he's a munafiq. In a sense that he's a hypocrite. He's not a good person. The story reaches the man that Mu'adh ibn Jabal has called you a munafiq. The man gets to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and he goes to the Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and he says, Ya Rasulullah, Mu'adh ibn Jabal has called me this. And he tells the story that we are day laborers. We wake up early in the morning, and we go far off to work, and we slave away all day, and we come home at night, and now it's time for the rest because we have to wake up early and again and go out and do the work again. And Mu'adh ibn Jabal was leading a long salah, and I could not anymore stand there, so I left the salah, prayed my own salah, and went back. No problems. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam calls Mu'adh ibn Jabal, and he says, this is the words of hadith, brothers, this is not my words, please. هل أنت فتان يا معاذ? Oh Mu'adh, are you starting a fitna in the ummah? What is wrong with you? What have you done now? Why can't you read هل أتاك حديث الغاشية, Surah Al-A'la? And if you listen to scholars, they say Fajr can be longer, and then Isha should be a moderate salah. It shouldn't be too long because people have to retire to bed. This is the words of alayhi salatu wasalam to who? Mu'adh ibn Jabal, which Khalid ibn Walid is saying that if Allah asked me who I left behind for the ummah of alayhi salatu wasalam, I would say I left behind Mu'adh. This is the character of the Aslaf. This is the character of Sahaba. This is the character of alayhi salatu wasalam. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us a tawfiq, to have some introspect and have the thought process to go through and fix our characters and soften our tongues and soften our hearts for our fellow brothers and sisters. أقول ما تسمعون واستغفر الله لي ولكم وسائر المسلمين لكم ذنب فاستغفروه إنه غفور رحيم. الحمد لله الواحد الأحد الفرد الصمد الذي لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. If I can request you brothers to move forward, there's empty spaces in front of you. Take those empty spots and adjust your sitting patterns, please. Move forward, please, if you could. We're almost to the door, so let's like to have a little more space in the back for those brothers that are joining us late, inshallah. عن أنس عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال عليه الصلاة والسلام يسروا ولا تعسروا وبشروا ولا تنفروا أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anh says, I heard Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam says, facilitate things to people concerning the religious matters. يسروا ولا تعسروا. Make it easier for the folks to follow their deen, and do not make hard for them, and give them وَبَشِّرُوا وَلَا تُنَفِّرُوا, and give them good glad tidings, or give them good news, and do not make them run away from Islam. This is the crux of our religion is today. Wallahi, if you have to take an accountability of how long the Muslims have been amongst non-Muslims and the reason those people are not attracted to deen or to our religion, I probably will have to boil it down to one main thing, and that's this right here. We do not have a good characteristics. We don't have a good character in a sense that we are not following the prophetic path of alayhi salatu wasalam. Our tongues have not softened. Our hearts have not softened. We are more tough on people than we are on ourselves. You know, a lot of times I see people who take the Shahada and accept Islam, and it's literally their first 10 minutes. And then somebody has to give them a lecture on how they have to memorize the surahs. And brother, take a deep breath. It's just only been 10 minutes. You have to give some breather to the brother. He's trying to learn. When you were born, alhamdulillah, most of us born to a Muslim household, even you didn't learn the first time you read the surah. Even today, there's a lot of things that we do that we have not understood properly in our religion. So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Ghafur Rahim for you, why isn't it Ghafur Rahim to somebody else? Let me finish with this story. And this is a true story, by the way. And I can relate with this story because I was once a young man too. Because I went through the same torture as this person had gone through. One of my shuyukh mentioned a story of a young man who took Shahada and became Muslim. And the man had long hair. A young man had long hair, took his Shahada, went to the masjid. I see some of you smiling already. They already know where it's going. He went to the masjid and he was told, haram brother, you have long hair. Now I want you to hear this part clearly. The man went home ashamed and had a debate with himself. Should he leave Islam now or should he continue to practice? This is a new Muslim. So he debates himself and he comes to the conclusion, okay, you know what? It's just hair. I will stick with my religion. And Allah guided him because nobody else could have guided at that point. He stays on his religion and he shaves his head, literally shaves his head, completely bald. And he said, you know, he came back to masjid and he tried to reconnect. And he said after some time passed, he started to want to learn the seerah of alayhi salatu wasalam. And he said, you know, to my amazement, when I read the seerah of alayhi salatu wasalam, I found out alayhi salatu wasalam had long hair. I pose a question to you, and you can answer it to yourself. You don't have to answer it to me. If that person had left his deen that day, who would have been responsible on the day of Qiyamah in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So, yassiru wa la tu'assiru. Have the highest measurement stick for yourself, and then the shortest stick for everybody else around you. Have the ijazah and the ruqsa and all of that for others in your life, not for yourself. And offer them that. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us a pure ummah in the meanings of the pure ummah. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala remove the hatred from our hearts for each other and our brothers and our sisters. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us all a guiding path and a shining light to those who want to come to the deen of Islam. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us from the people whose tongues are soft and the hearts are even softer. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us from the folks who are uniting in ummah and not dividing ummah. And make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us from the people that when we meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we can proudly say that if we did not do anything else, at least our tongues were the softest with the ummah of alayhi salatu wasalam, and we tried to copy his characters as best as we can. اللهم لا تدع لنا ذنبا إلا غفرته ولا هما إلا فرجته ولا كربا إلا نفسته ولا ميتا إلا رحمته ولا مريضا إلا شافيته ولا دينا إلا قضيته ولا مجاهد في سبيلك نصرته ولا دوب إلا حلقته ولا ضالا إلا هديته ولا ضالا إلا هديته ولا ضالا إلا هديته ولا أولادا إلا أصلحت ولا عيبا إلا سترت ولا حاجة من نحو الدنيا لك رضا لنا قضيتها ويسرتها لنا. اللهم كان رزقنا في سماء فأنزله، وإن كان رزقه في الأرض فأخرجه، وإن كان بعيدا فقربه، وإن كان قريبا فيسره، وإن كان قليلا فكثره، وإن كان كثيرا فبارك لنا فيه. واعلموا أن الله قد أمركم أمرا بدا في نفسه وسلم لك وسلم بكم معشر مؤمن جن إنس. قال عزا قائما عليما: إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم سلم وبارك وعنهم على عبدك محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. عباد الله، إن الله يأمركم بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله العظيم يذكركم واشكر وزد لكم وذكر الله أكبر. وقوموا إلى صلاتكم يرحمكم الله.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة، حي على الفلاح، قد قامت الصلاة، قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر، لا إله إلا الله.
استووا واعتدلوا. Straighten your lines, fill the gaps between. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy upon us. Amen. Allahu Akbar. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. بسم الله. هل أتاك حديث الغاشية وجوه يومئذ خاشعة عاملة ناصبة تصلى نارا حامية تسقى من عين آنية ليس لهم طعام إلا من ضريع لا يسمن ولا يغني من جوع وجوه يومئذ ناعمة لسعيها راضية في جنة عالية لا تسمع فيها لاغية فيها عين جارية فيها سرر مرفوعة وأكواب موضوعة ونمارق مصفوفة وزرابي مبثوثة. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين
أفلا ينظرون إلى الإبل كيف خلقت وإلى السماء كيف رفعت وإلى الجبال كيف نصبت وإلى الأرض كيف سطحت فذكر إنما أنت مذكر لست عليهم بمسيطر إلا من تولى وكفر فيعذبه الله العذاب الأكبر إن إلينا إيابهم ثم إن علينا حسابهم.
الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. اللهم صل الله. اللهم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. اللهم لا مانع منها. It was yours. Yeah, that's all. I almost feel like it should be back here. No, like literally back here. Like as you walk up.